Eccoci, bentornati nelle puntate live del podcast Intelligenza Artificiale Spiegata Semplice. Ai microfoni oggi qui dalla postazione live della AI Week c'è il vostro Pasquale e come sempre qui con me c'è un grande ospite, ormai lo sapete. Per questa seconda puntata ho il grandissimo piacere di introdurvi uno degli autori del paper forse tra i più importanti scritti in ambito AI e anche co-founder di un unicorno. Qualche domanda siamo riusciti a prepararla, la faremo in inglese, quindi tenterò io di farla in inglese, quindi in bocca al lupo a me e iniziamo. Please welcome here on the stage on our podcast to Llion Jones. Ciao Llion.
Hey, how's it going?
So, first of all, for people that don't know, are not technical, okay? Just to clarify, how would you like to explain the paper Attention is All You Need, what is about, and why it becomes so important for AI?
Yeah, so in very simple terms,
Yes.
Attention is All You Need was a paper that was written in 2017, and it basically introduced a new kind of neural network, or artificial neural network. And as most people know, all of the state-of-the-art artificial intelligence is now based on artificial neural networks, which I would say is a very, very simple approximation to how the brain works. Now, you can imagine there are several different ways of wiring up a neural network, like which neurons connect to which neurons. And the way you do that differently causes different capabilities to emerge out of these neural networks. And the paper introduced a new kind of neural network called the transformer. Now, the name doesn't come from the cartoon, as some people think. It comes from the fact that we were actually trying to create a very general neural network that would be capable of transforming any data into any other kind of data. And in the paper, we were actually doing translation. So we were, being able to translate English into Italian or back again. Now, the reason that the paper is so famous is that this new kind of artificial neural network that we created, the transformer, much to my surprise, turned out to be much more widely applicable and useful for all sorts of other tasks, and enables pretty much everything that you can see around you today. All of this technology that all of these companies are promoting are almost definitely using the transformer network at its base.
Did you imagine that transformer would become the foundation of so many AI models, for example, that we use today?
I would say that I had no idea. I'm so surprised. I'm still surprised.
Wow.
Having people come up and wanting to meet me today and, wanting a selfie is still very strange to me, because I still have the feeling of it's just a paper, it's calm down. I would say that I was one of the last people to really start noticing how quickly it was becoming an important paper. Now, some of my co-authors, the other people on the paper, some of them say they did know. Some of them say, we think this is going to be special. And I don't know. I doubt it. There's a famous line in the paper, actually, if you read it, towards the end, that says, "We demonstrated that this worked on translation. We hope that the transformer will be more widely applicable to other tasks." So doesn't that suggest that we didn't know at the time?
Just looking back now, what do you think was the most powerful idea in that paper?
I think this is such an important question, because I think it's a question that people get wrong. Right? People don't answer it correctly. And actually, it's one of the messages that I tried to give during my talk yesterday. Is, of course, you look at the title and you think the innovation must have been attention, because we're saying attention is all you need. That must be the most important thing. But the truth is, of course, attention already existed. We didn't invent attention. So the real breakthrough, the real innovation, is how we used attention, not attention itself. So before the paper, the state of the art was something called a recurrent neural network, which was a different kind of artificial neural network. But it had to process every single word in sequence. So you couldn't process the fourth word until you'd processed the first three. And this made it very slow. So instead of doing that, instead of processing them one by one, what attention allows you to do is have every single word look at every single other word and decide what information it needs to do something like translation completely in parallel. So if you imagine when you're running these transformer networks, you are processing usually thousands of words at the same time. The difference between doing it sequentially and doing it all at the same time using attention means you're literally getting 1,000-fold speed up. And that was the breakthrough. That is what allowed you to suddenly scale things like translation or language modeling so much better than the prior state of the art. And it's scaling, but that's basically the real secret sauce in AI, as everyone knows. And you can just scale transformers better, and that's why they won, and that's why they are still winning.
Wow, è incredibile sentirlo direttamente dalla sua voce. Non tutti sanno che nessuno forse sa che, a parte qualche nostro collaboratore e ovviamente Giacinto, che ho avuto la fortuna di incontrare Llion quasi per caso in un evento a San Francisco, e quando l'ho invitato a venire qui all'AI Week si è subito dimostrato positivo e ha accettato di buon grado l'invito. Tra l'altro lui è un habitué, mi ha raccontato dell'Italia, gli piace un sacco, non avevamo dubbi ovviamente, e visita l'Italia. Adesso però si trova in Giappone, dove ha cofondato un unicorno, e quindi parliamola di questo. Today you are the co-founder and CTO of Sakana AI. Sakana AI is a Japanese unicorn company, and for people who are hearing about it for the first time, what is Sakana AI, and what was the secret ingredient? This is the most important thing for me. What is the secret ingredient that helped to Sakana to become a unicorn?
Yeah, I think we've been very lucky. It's going very well. But I would say that there are a few secret ingredients, some of which that maybe people can copy, other maybe not so easily. First of all, I would say that we're lucky because we have a very strong co-founders. So all three, I think, are sort of strong in their own ways, and we have talents that complement each other. David Ha, one of the other co-founders, also very well known in the industry. So I was well known because of the paper. So that automatically gave us a lot of people very interested from the beginning of the creation of the company. And our third co-founder, probably our secret, because he is the Japanese co-founder, and he's a very, very strong businessman and very well connected in Japan. So without him, I think we wouldn't have been able to open as many doors as we did and get...
Like me with Giacinto.
Yeah, here you go. And the other secret sauce, I think, is actually starting in Japan. So this immediately made people pay attention to us, pun not intended, because we were doing something different. We weren't just yet another Silicon Valley company. It was like, oh, they're starting in Japan. That's interesting. And some people, I'll be honest, I'll tell you, when we were looking for money and investments, some of them said, maybe not Japan, maybe you can have an office there, it should be an American company and have a Delaware. We did, no, we're going to have 100% Japanese company, and it's up to you if we invest. And one of the things that they were worried about actually was getting talent. Because, of course, the assumption is all the talent is in Silicon Valley. But two very nice things that we found out. First of all, there's a lot of talent in Japan. There's a lot of good companies that we can try to get talent from, and a lot of very talented people coming through the education system. But the other bonus, I guess, is obvious in hindsight, is if you say to an AI researcher, and you can imagine this, the kind of person an AI researcher is, you say to them, hey, you can come to Sakana and I will give you the research freedom to have the resources and the time to do what you think is interesting, and you get to come to Tokyo. It's a done deal.
Well, and Sakana AI says it's inspired by nature. Can you explain how does it work, Sakana AI, and what are you doing with the AI there?
Yes, absolutely. So, because I want to give people so much research freedom, a very important question comes with that is, okay, you're going to give me the freedom to research what I want. How do I decide what direction to go in? So there's two very important answers to that question that is at the core of Sakana AI's philosophy. Number one is greatness cannot be planned. Okay, so if you look at the manifesto for our company, it's the first thing we talk about. Greatness cannot be planned. And this idea comes from a book called Why Greatness Cannot Be Planned. And the idea is, in order to really find the interesting things, you have to not be looking for it. Okay? So I'll give you a concrete example. One of our most famous bits of research is something called the continuous thought machine, where we take a neural network and we do something a little bit different. Actually, it's quite relevant because that is nature inspired. So we know that synchronization in the brain is very important. So we took the idea of synchronization and we added that into the neural network architecture. Like people hadn't done that before, and you get very interesting behavior. And then after we just took this nature-inspired idea, added it just to see what would happen, just for research, it turned out that it had a lot of very interesting properties. For example, it was very well calibrated. What this means is, if the model thinks it's a cat and it's 80% certain, then it is correct 80% of the time. Most neural networks are not like that. Most neural networks are overly confident. Now, it would be much harder for us to find a new kind of neural network that was well calibrated if we were deliberately looking for something that was well calibrated. So it's the idea that, something I take very seriously. The reason I give people this freedom and give them choice to go in the direction they want is for this reason. To let them explore so that we have a much more chance of finding the interesting things.
Qualcuno ha una domanda? Vediamo se qualcuno se la sente. Oh, non siate timidi, non siate timidi. Eccola, c'è una domanda. Ok. Ok. Wow. Good question. Llion, qual è il tuo nome? Emanuele. Emanuele sei. Ask you, what is the future after Transformer? Obviously in AI world.
Great question. Yeah, I actually took part in a debate very recently about Transformer versus post-Transformer. So the argument was, are we done? Is the Transformer the end? Like, we found the correct architecture and all we have to do now is engineering and a little bit of incremental improvement and just keep scaling? Or is there a new architecture that will come in the future and replace Transformer? And I think people were very surprised when I turned up to the debate, because I was on the post-Transformer side.
Oh.
I, despite being involved with the invention of the Transformer, think that it's not the end. And I want to see something better. And I think there is something better. And I think one problem with the transformer, which is going to be very strange to say, is it's almost too good. Because if it wasn't as good as it was, people would have to look for something better. But because it can do almost anything you want, if you have enough data and if you have enough compute, then I feel like people's desire to find something better is less. But there is explicitly a research group inside Sakana whose mission is to find post-transformer architectures. So my answer is, the future is something new will come along. I hope that we will be the ones to find it, but I would be very surprised if we never have a paradigm shift ever again in AI. So I think that's coming.
Let me know if coming in Sakana and texting me a message, because you have to come back here and tell us what you do, okay?
Yeah, gladly.
Grazie mille. Thank you so much, Llion.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Grazie davvero a Llion Jones, bellissima puntata e grazie a tutti quanti voi. Qui non li vedete, ma c'è un bellissimo pubblico all'interno del podcast live stage della AI Week che ha ascoltato e conversato con noi. Ci vediamo alla prossima, ciao!